and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Thursday, February the 12th, 2026, and this show begins. DJ! I see you. No! We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube, and I appreciate you for tuning in. Hey, guys, reminder, or first time you're hearing this on this show, there are college lacrosse games this week on North American Talk Radio, the YouTube channel. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, we're going to have the, what is it called? Colorado College, I believe is what it's called. Let me get to that. Yeah, Colorado College against Illinois Wesleyan. And it's interesting because at 10:30, the NLL game starts tomorrow between Colorado and Las Vegas. So doubleheader for Colorado lacrosse, low-key. And Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern will be Southwestern versus Illinois Wesleyan. And then at 8 o'clock that night, the Swarm and the Roughnecks. So that's kind of cool. Stuff happening on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. We appreciate you for subscribing. On today's awesome show, I am going to play NLL Matchmaker. Listen, guys, I'm single, but it feels like some of these teams are single. There's a lovey-dovey holiday coming up. Let's play the trade game now that we are less than a month away from that moment, and I'll expand more on that. Then I will give you my power rankings for this week following the week 11 games heading into week 12, because remember yesterday we did our midseason report cards. Those graphics will be posted later, but just saying, we got to get to our power rankings. And finally, we will create the narrative for week number 12 in the National Lacrosse League. Hey guys, the NLL has merchandise, and you can find it at natalkradio.us/NLL. There's also unboxed logo merchandise. I am very excited for that. I really want a Long Island Moon jellyfish shirt. I plan to order one in the next week or so. I'm excited. You're excited. The NLL has merchandise again, natalkradio.us/NLL. Hello? Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I saw you at the game. Yeah, you look really good. I like what you were wearing. All right, time for NLL Matchmaker. That was like way too long of an intro for that segment. Listen, I thought of different ways to break this down. And, I thought of like doing a whole little Tinder thing, like, who are we swiping right on? But I broke it down to two categories, okay? Now, there will be some trades that I ran through the hypothetical trade machine in my brain based on draft picks from swarmingup.com, based on what the rosters are, based on just how we're feeling, So on March 9th is the trade deadline. That is almost a month away from now. That is Monday. So it's 1, 2, 3, under a month. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, it's just a little over 3 weeks away from that March 9th trade deadline. What are we going to see? What could we see? And so until that point, we've got 1, 2, got this weekend, next. There are 4 weekends worth of games to be played until that moment. There's also a holiday coming up. What is it? Saturday? I think it's Valentine's Day. Listen, I don't know why some people have a I don't know what you guys know my thing. I do wonder why you have to have a special day for the love of your life. But let's just play the game. Let's just play the game here. I'm gonna be Cupid, all right? So I want to first give my reaction to the Jacob Dunbar trade. This one already happened. I have not given my take on the show. And quite simply, I believe Jacob Dunbar to Calgary is low risk, high reward for Calgary. I don't see a scenario they lose this trade. Granted, you are out of a third round draft pick, unless, like, if you can find diamonds in the rough, good for you. But Calgary sees a guy who, to start last year, looked very good for Ottawa. And even at points this year, he's shown flashes. He's shown a willingness to want to work hard. I think Jacob Dunbar could pop off in Calgary. I told you guys a week or two ago, I do wonder if guys like Jacob Dunbar or Levi Anderson and people like, I may have mentioned Dunbar's name when I said that, but I feel like guys like that could pop off in Calgary, even though they haven't taken their strides yet. So I think it's great for Calgary. I don't think there's a way they lose that trade. Now, let's do this. Our first little segment here will be called Crushing. Two guys in the NLL, I think, have their eyes elsewhere. I'm not saying they're in a, well, technically they're in a relationship right now because they are tied to a team, but they're kind of like they're looking around, and like there's two guys I feel like have teams in particular, even though this is not a rumor, it's just me having fun, all right? First one is a guy Pat Gregoire's campaigned for multiple places, but I'm going to be honest. I think Joe Resetarits probably has been side-eyeing Buffalo or looking over for a few years now. The guy is a massive Buffalo Bills fan. He lives in Buffalo. Why would he want to stay with Philadelphia, a franchise that right now the future is uncertain? Now, I do think that Joe Tsai will find a way to move them somewhere near-ish by. But if I'm Joe Rez, I'm like, listen, man, y'all be blessed. Like, I'm moving on. I think the Buffalo Bandits, if they don't want to wait until next year or whenever Joe Resetarits becomes a free agent, why not get him now? But again, for the crushing part of this matchmaker segment, I can see Joe Rez. Like, people talk about Toronto. I know Pat Gregoire said that. There's been other teams flown around. I think if I'm Joe Resetarits, I want to go to Buffalo. They are 3-5. I could be that missing piece to the relationship there. I don't know. But I think he's got to be eyeing Buffalo. Also, Ty Kurtz, as once again, Oshawa continues to just fall, and they always have promise, but that NLL Finals run was so long ago. Alex Simmons and Dyson Williams and Dawson Thie, there's so many guys that are on that team. If I'm Ty Kurtz, I'm looking over the Trillium Cup. Oh, Toronto could use a righty. All right? Now, I will circle back to Ty Kurtz in just a moment here. If Toronto would oblige Ty Kurtz, I do see a scenario where Oshawa gets the 2026 second rounder that's this year that Toronto has from Vegas, and they might get Hugh Kelleher to help the defense, which suddenly needs help somehow. For Ty Kurtz. You know, like Hugh Kelleher, the 2026 second rounder for Ty Kurtz. But if I'm Toronto, they're eyeing another righty, I think. And I've said this, and I think people saw it, but I don't think they acknowledged it, all right? So let's now go to our next thing, just popular in your area. Let's now find a match, okay? Because I do think, first of all, Ty Kurtz, I don't see him getting traded. I think Oshawa is going to be stubborn, as they should be. Why would he get traded? He's putting up numbers again this year. They're growing up. I do think in hindsight they're going to wish they did trade him and just go with Alex Simmons and Dyson Williams, etc. But I'm just wondering, like, what is the asking price? I know OTCB, aka Pat Gregoire, said you're going to need more than that to get Kurtz out of Oshawa. I agree, possibly. But, like, if I'm Toronto, why would I do that when, again, there's more coming? Also, I disagree with this a little bit. Hugh Kelleher or combine Hugh Kelleher and another defender with a second rounder or a first rounder, and I think a second rounder in the next 2 drafts would be great. I don't know if we have to, like, so many times in media and just fans, they say, oh, that's not enough. Is it though? I've seen so many teams do so many other things for far less. I'm just floating out this is like my starting package, all right? Because I feel like I'm going to get 10,000 comments about, oh, well, that's not enough. I don't care. It's where we're starting. All right, how's that? I feel like that would be easier here. All right? Even though I feel like it could work anyways. All right, so let's do our matchmaker here. I don't think Ty Kurtz. I'm not sure who wants it because I have a few other things going on here. Let's go to Joe Resetarits. If you are Buffalo, how do you convince Philadelphia? Well, I think you can slide with a 2028 first rounder. I think a 2027 second rounder. And I think both of your third rounders this year. Now, if you are Philadelphia, you could say, hey, Buffalo, you guys are going for it all right now. We want something this year. Here's the problem with that. Philadelphia already owns Buffalo's first rounder this year. And then you could ask Buffalo for their second rounder from Calgary this year. Sure, why not that pick and then another first rounder in 2028? I don't mind that. But remember, there's already 2 extra draft picks in the first round this year. So with that being said, why not start like low? Like if you get like the 2 third rounders, you can ask for more. But I do think if Philadelphia is going to trade Joe Resetarits to a contender, they're going to want a little bit of compensation from the team this year, considering you could argue, hey, aren't you guys trying to win it all this year, whether it be Toronto or Buffalo or anybody? You could ask them that. So I went with the 2 third rounders, next year's second rounder, and 2028 first. You could play with that the way you wanted to, but I don't think it'll take an arm and a leg. I think that would be a fair package. And then, like I said, you could do the second rounder from Calgary. You could also do the 2028 first. I don't know. But that's the way I'm leaning. I don't think you need players if you're Philadelphia. I think they're stockpiling draft picks. They're going to rebuild the entire thing. They've got Michael Sowers and Brandon O'Neill balling out. Why not? Next up, let's do Tanner Cook, a guy who I didn't talk about to start the segment, but this guy's from Ontario, all right? And the Calgary Roughnecks are not necessarily contenders. And I know Tanner Cook is maybe their best player, but so this was brought up to me. I know I mentioned Pat Gregoire's name a lot on the show. Like when you have the guy on every Monday, he's going to make some good points, all right? Buffalo needs a lefty. And this is taking into consideration that you already got Joe Resetarits, all right? So imagine you've already got Joe Rez for the 2028 first rounder, and 2 2026 third rounders, or however you want to play with that game, all right? What about for Tanner Cook? You give up both your second rounders, so that includes the one you got from Calgary. Maybe you keep that one, I don't know. And you give up some more future draft capital. I feel like if I'm Buffalo, I get either Tanner Cook or Joe Rez. Maybe Ty Kurtz to Buffalo could be another thing, because I don't know. Like, I don't mind Ty Kurtz in Buffalo, but I feel like they wouldn't mind a righty. But Tanner Cook would be an interesting facet because he could play with Josh Byrne. He could get that guy open, kind of like Dyson. I mean, I know Dyson's not Josh Byrne, but kind of like Dyson and Dawson Theed. I feel like that could be like a similar combination, like Eric Fennell and Brandon O'Neill. Again, not comparing players, comparing styles. That could be interesting. I think Corporal has it rolling and swarming up. I think Philly has Buffalo's company. That's good to know. We're starting somewhere, all right? Now, next up, what about Ryan Smith? Interesting one, right? So I, again, have thrown this around before. What if Toronto, if they don't want an older Joe Resetarits, if they don't want to give a bunch of money for Ty Kurtz, how do you get Ryan Smith? I could see first rounders that Jimmy Dowd has been piling up, and I could see Hugh Kelleher, etc. Now, there's another scenario where Toronto's holding on to a draft pick in the first round known as the Roughnecks pick. The Roughnecks right now, if you check the standings, they would be the number one pick in the draft if they had their pick. I feel like Toronto already has a lot of their young guys. And here is why I say Ryan Smith. And before people want to complain about, oh, Rochester won't do it. Never say never. There was a guy in Rochester who, once again, is leading Ryan Smith in points. His name is Ryan Lanchbury. I'm sure Ryan Lanchbury could also score. A lot of that is assists. I see a scenario where they trade either Lanchbury or Smith, pick your Ryan, for some defenders and draft capital. If you get Ryan Smith, you can demand draft capital and some defenders. Ryan Lanchbury, you might have to pick one or the other. Or you might have to compromise on one of the two. I see a scenario where Rochester is not satisfied. Dan Carey, is it Dan Carey, the GM for Rochester? Yeah. I see a scenario where you give up one of the Ryans for defenders and draft picks. Again, Ryan Smith gets you more. But one of those guys, and your offense would still be amazing. You guys are 4-4. Something ain't working. Your defense is one of those things. Lanchbury or Smith, I could see happening at some point. I mean, the asking price for Tanner Cook has been astronomical. So, yeah, and again, what I'm not gonna do is continue to try to make a perfect trade. My point with Tanner Cook, and I'm going to circle back to a topic, is Calgary can get a bunch of draft capital. That's, again, you have to start somewhere. I know people want a perfect trade from day one. Every podcast is going to be different here, and I'm just telling you my initial thoughts. But again, circling back to Ryan Smith, I think there needs to be a conversation. Rochester cannot just keep running it back. Get rid of Lanchbury or Smith and get some defenders and draft capital in return. And finally, what if the heir apparent to Nick Rose is not Troy Holochuk? You're like, well, Michael, who would it be? Well, there's guys you throw around like Just name your goalie that you think could be there, right, in Toronto. Folks, Nick Damoud of Philadelphia Wings, I think it would be foolish for Philadelphia not to trade Joe Rez and Nick Damoud. Deacon Nuts, even if he's not ready, you got to start getting him out there sometime, consistently. And I do think he has a higher ceiling than Nick Damoud. But that being said, Nick Damoud, folks, this guy is giving up over 12 goals a game. You're like, well, that's terrible, right? That is combined with an 80.3 save percentage. That does not make sense. And this is not a one-off for Nick Damoud. In 2023, with Panther City, 78.9. The following year, in Reston Panther City, 79.9. First year with Philadelphia last year, 78.0. This year, career high, 80.3. Career average in 91 games in 4,200 minutes is a 78.7 save percentage. How do you get Nick Damoud? I wonder if you can convince Toronto of the following. A second rounder or two and Chris Boucher. I feel like Toronto has guys, even though they want a righty, I could see Toronto swinging for a star righty while also getting rid of like Chris Boucher or someone like that. I know he might work for the team. I know the stuff that Jimmy Talcott is going on. I'm just saying, if I'm a fan of the league, and if I'm doing this segment just for fun and just a speculation as what if one day the league is full of guys who aren't just tied to one city, Chris Boucher to Philadelphia to help incentivize getting Nick Damoud. I mean, right now, Nick Damoud is not a star goalie. I'm wondering, should he be? Like, there is a real scenario where Nick Damoud is just, like, all you have to do in Toronto is switch last names. Because why swing on Troy Holochuk when Nick Damoud has proven through multiple teams and one bad defense that he can hold your team afloat? And I don't think Toronto Rock fans would buy in, or many people would buy in for that matter. But Nick Damoud has got to be talked about as one of the most underrated goaltenders in the league. So again, I'm looking at the following matchmakers here. I could see Joe Resetarits crushing on Buffalo and maybe Buffalo taking a chance, even though my heart of hearts, he doesn't go there. I could see Ty Kurtz flirting with some options. I don't know if he gets moved. Much like Tanner Cook, I would love to see Tanner Cook in Buffalo, but kind of like the Ty Kurtz situation, I don't know if you can pry it off the cold, dead fingertips right now. I do think if I'm Rochester, I'm considering Ryan Smith or Ryan Lansbury to Toronto for some defenders and draft capital. And I do think I see a scenario where Nick Damoud is the future of a Toronto Rock. That would be an interesting looking league, wouldn't it? I feel like my trades were realistic. And again, we can disagree on that. Oh, and no, that was another thing. I agree, like Nick Damoud to Las Vegas is another one I completely see happening. I also see a scenario, maybe Troy Holochuk goes to, like, someone. Now, if I'm Las Vegas, I do want Nick Damoud. Like, first and foremost, if there's a goalie on the market that I think's on the market, it is Nick Damude. But I also could see Sean Williams not wanting Nick Damude. Because again, first of all, Sean Williams has not shown he knows what a goalie is, apparently. And if you think I'm wrong, check the history of the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. All right? Another thing is, I don't think anyone respects Nick Damude like they should, based on what he's done for 4 years now. So there you go. They can do the first rounder. Like, again, that's why Buffalo is also like, do they actually get one? Because, like, you can say, I want first rounders, but, like, who has them? Like, Buffalo, to me, is not, like, what I'm looking at their draft capital. They don't have one this year. Next year, they have one, but they should be competitive enough. Now, Vegas has the capital, but they don't need him. Like, who else? Halifax is another one, but in my opinion, Tanner Cook is a guy who's another big body like Dawson Thied. And I don't know if, like, who out there would just give up draft picks for Tanner Cook? Well, again, it seems like to me, kind of with Ty Kurtz, you can say, I want this, this, and this. The teams that want the guy, though, don't have that. And that's where I can see the compromise happening. So we'll see what happens. But again, I think if you think it through, just because it seems unfair to Calgary, at some point, you don't want the guy to walk in free agency because Calgary's very good about that and getting nothing in return for their guys. So if I'm Calgary, I eventually suck it up and deal with it because they're going to get worse and worse and worse. So, just saying. Next up, I will give my NLL Power Rankings. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Daily Dive.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talks on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, once again here. We appreciate you for tuning in to the show. Reminder that yesterday we did mid-season report cards with Adam Levy. That was a blast. And then earlier in this segment, we did Matchmaker. I feel like I had some pretty good trades. Just saying. I know, like, again, like, not, I believe me, I thought about the realistic trades, which, again, people act like it has to be even. No, it doesn't. It does not have to be even. Sometimes there are winners and losers to a trade. And so I think what I said earlier, I'm not mad at what I said. I'll even tweet it out later. Like, it's going to be wrong, because it never ends up happening the way we think it does. But I had fun with it for sure. Now it's time to get to my NLL Power Rankings. Here is the first set. A lot of movement in the basement here. Not my room, but you get it. So Ottawa's still at 9, San Diego at 10, Vegas at 11, Philadelphia. You walk into Buffalo, you win, you move up. I don't care how bad we think Buffalo is. Philadelphia showed life. And Michael Sowers is really being awesome. So is Brandon O'Neill and Nick Damoud. Oshawa dropped down. They lose again. Calgary is Calgary. Now, top 8. Little bit of change. Saskatchewan holds strong at 1 after rallying to defeat San Diego on the road. Colorado, they stay put at number 2 after they had an off week, or a bye week, should I say. Number 3 is Vancouver. They did finish the sweep of Rochester, but I don't know if they're above those two teams yet, because I know Colorado already beat them anyways, and so that definitely does help in the scenario. Number 4, at some point, you got to give credit where it's due. And I know their offense was not great, but Lyle Thompson, as I predicted, he started feeling better. He started getting a little bit healthy, and now he's been on a tear. And you add that with the God season of Brent Dobson, and folks, I'll say it again. People do not understand just how crazy Brent Dobson has been this season. And just to throw a number, if you care, in the ether, Brent Dobson has a 31 goals saved above average, whatever that means. And he has an 85.9 save percentage. It's not a great season. It's an all-time legendary season. The Jordan Swarmer currently 9 games in. It is ridiculous what he's doing right now. I think that matters for number 4. Number 5, Rochester. Now, getting swept by Vancouver, not the hottest of looks. Losing 3 straight, not a great look either. Is it 3 straight or is it let me make sure. I don't want to say that wrongfully here. Yeah, it's 3 straight, Toronto, then Vancouver. I do think them beating Vancouver early was cool. Them rallying was nice. I don't like they were pushed around for like probably 45 or 50 minutes of that game. But I do see a scenario where Rochester's not terrible. Toronto moves up to number 6. They've been really good this year. And Troy Holochuk has been doing his best impression of I got next in Toronto. Buffalo dropped 2 spots. Now, they were in danger of really falling off the map. And I do believe if Toronto and Buffalo played, I do think the Rock could win that game at this point. I'm holding out hope that Buffalo still got that DNA. I got loyalty in Kendrick Lamar. Number 8 for me is Halifax. They're still there. But again, another one, I just need to see a little bit more. Halifax did have a bye week, so that helps them as well. All right, folks, we come back. We got uno más on the segmentos. So you guys, agree with this. It's unbelievable. When we come back to this awesome show, it's time to create the narrative for week number 12. Don't go anywhere or else, well, I won't, so just don't do it. I'll be right back.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening. You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Once again, you are tuned into this Thursday, February the 12th, 2026 edition of Daily Dive, which is the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. Hey, are you going to the game this weekend? Great. Make sure to get your tickets at natalkradio.com or .us and click the event tickets tab, which takes you to the Vivid Seats platform. Hey, don't look like you're out of place. Get your merchandise at natalkradio.us/NLL. Look good. Get your tickets for less. All at our website. We appreciate you for watching and supporting. It is now time to create the narrative for week number 12. What am I going to be focusing on? And what are the storylines for the upcoming weekend in the National Lacrosse League? Well, strap in, baby! 8 games. 1 on Friday, 1 on Sunday, and 6 on Saturday. And reminder, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, you've got college lacrosse where Colorado College takes on Illinois Wesleyan. And then on Friday at 10:30 Eastern, you got the Mammoth and the Desert Dogs. Obviously, this game is going to be on ESPN Plus and TSN Plus. That being said, Desert Dogs, this is a massive test for you. Because this team, this Colorado juggernaut, is coming into your barn. Vegas, I'm not saying you're a contender. I'm not saying you've tried to make us feel that way. But show us a little bit of fight. And Landon Cowles, if you want to keep your job, there's a scenario and a path in my brain. If I'm Doctor Strange and I'm seeing the scenarios and the possible futures or outcomes where you ball out and shock the world, not even win the game. Just keep the game close and don't be the reason you lose. You could be the future of Las Vegas, and I actually might start to believe in you. But this week's going to be a massive test because Matt Vince just got smoked by this team. Saturday, to start things off, Mackie Jenner will be on play-by-play for the first time ever as the Halifax Thunderbirds take on the Buffalo Bandits. And thankfully, well, not thankfully, I'm just saying I do feel like there better be snacks in the booth because on the field, the players and the teams are starving. And also, I hope there's locks on the broadcaster's booth or perch because you don't want them coming up there, all right? Buffalo and Halifax, quite frankly, are not just going to fall down the power rankings if either one of them loses. They're going to feel miserable inside. Their coaching staff is going to start wondering, hey, GM, are you thinking of making any moves? It could go south very quickly. One of these teams will prevail and still have a hope that they are still cream of the crop. But it is mighty, mighty crazy how both of these teams had championship aspirations, and both of them have fallen flat on their face to this point in the season. Comments here. Canada versus Czech time. Oh, interesting. I'm not sure what sport that is, but God bless you. And go America. I'm kidding. I could care less. But no, good stuff there. I think it's Winter Olympics are going on. So, next up, Saturday, next game, 7 o'clock. One of two games at 7 o'clock will be the Ottawa Black Bears and the Rochester Nighthawks. Now, unlike the last game where I told you guys that these teams had big, preseason aspirations, Rochester and Ottawa are just probably tired of being good enough to beat bad teams and run up the score and not good enough to beat the quality teams. Do you know how you enter that conversation, not just in fans' brains, but also in your own and your competitors? One of you has to win this game. And I do think that if Ottawa wins, people like myself might start believing the Black Bears. If the Nighthawks win, hey, Rochester's back. Only one can win. Only one can still feel like they're afloat and a tier above that middle pack. You got to win this weekend, though, or else you're falling back there with the San Diegos and the Vegas. Like, are you good or are you not good? We don't know yet. One of you is going to feel good, though. Next up, the other 7 o'clock game Eastern on Saturday. The San Diego Seals come to Oshawa to take on the Firewolves. And I cannot believe I've gotten to this point in my Oshawa support, or lack thereof at this point now. Is this a flex spot for the Seals? You're like, Michael, Seals are not that good. Are they that good or no? They're 4-4. They're 3-0 on the road, which this game is. Wesley Berg, folks, there are 3 players on the Seals with more than 10 goals. None of them is named Wesley Berg. The San Diego Seals had rattled off 3 wins in a row before they finally blew a lead to Saskatchewan. I'm telling you now, Seals might go into Oshawa and flex their muscles a bit. Or there's a stupid, crappy scenario where Oshawa might still be breathing. At this point, I doubt it. But I would also love if they could go on a run, make the playoffs, forcing Jake McDonald of Anything Lacks to get a tattoo. That would be interesting cinema. I cannot lie. Next up, 8 o'clock Eastern, the old soul game at the starting spot. Vancouver Warriors and the Saskatchewan Rush. Oh, my heavens. Heavyweights, bragging rights, game of the year, NLL Finals preview, potentially. All of the big billing cards that Dana White would use in the UFC, Brett Fruit's going to use here in the NLL. This is as heavyweight as it gets. It's Mike Tyson versus whoever. It's Conor McGregor's next UFC match. This is cream of the crop. This is the winner of this game. Feels like they are on their way to a championship. At 9 o'clock Eastern Saturday, the Philadelphia Wings will battle the Calgary Roughnecks in a battle of who sucks more. I'm talking clown noses will be available. They're probably going to be a giveaway. They're going to throw poop emoji stuffies onto the floor. It's going to be a big event. Oh, no, I'm just playing. That's not happening, but it should. Because whoever wins this game, oh, I didn't know the game was being played. Yeah, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. So I'm sorry, professional athletes have to get ready for this game. I don't know I don't know who's watching. I honestly don't. Next up, the final game on Saturday night, the final start time, will be the Toronto Rock and the Colorado Mammoth. Mammoth are on their second leg of a back-to-back. After the previous night, they will be in Las Vegas. So if you're Colorado, you're like, hey, are we going to make a statement this weekend, head to Vegas and win, and then host a Red Hot Rock team? I don't know. The Rock would like to think they would be the team pulling off the statement this weekend. Because I know, in hindsight, yeah, if Colorado beats Vegas and then Toronto beats Colorado, talk of the town is going to be Toronto. Because Colorado, like, they have 2 games this weekend. Their record will be fine. If Toronto has on their resume that they went into Colorado and won, oh my. Oh my, oh my. On Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, Southwestern takes on Illinois Wesleyan on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern, it's the Edmonton game rematch. You heard that correctly. It's the Georgia Swarm against the Calgary Roughnecks. Now, I don't know how the Roughnecks pulled off a double home header, but that's what they did. But, and like I said before, with the Edmonton rematch, it's also another Georgia road game, which is crazy. And last point on this game, will the Swarm win by 10 goals again? Oh my. What game are you most looking forward to this weekend? Is it Saskatchewan-Vancouver? Is it Philadelphia-Calgary? I don't mind the toilet bowls in the NLL. They're kind of fun when they happen. But yeah, we'll be excited for it. All right, folks, this has been another fun edition of Daily Dive. Remember to subscribe to the channel and follow this show at Daily Dive LAX, wherever you get your social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even though I'm not consistent, but you get it. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow for NLL Week 12 preview with pick'ems and best bets. Until that time comes, I'm your host, Michael Karvelis, saying have a great rest of your day. Bye.